Hey you. That's not fair.
1 month after giving birth, I returned home from my parents' house. When I got home, I opened the door, and as soon as my husband saw me, he dropped his bag and said that.
Isn't your body shape too different?
Huh? I'm Kathy, 31 years old. I'm a housewife who just gave birth last month. I was looking forward to starting a life with the three of us from today after returning from my parents' house after giving birth. But what welcomed me home was my husband's blatantly heartless words. I was speechless, wondering why he would say such a thing before seeing our baby for the first time. I met my husband, Harry, at work. After graduating from high school, I worked in the accounting department of a company in New York, and Harry was my boss at that time. Our new home, which we bought together, was near the company. But since my parents' house is far from our new home, I went back to my parents' houses a little before my due date. And now, 1 month after giving birth to our daughter, Megan, I have returned. Since Harry was too busy with work to come to my parents' house, this was his first time meeting the baby. And yet, hey, I just came back from a long trip, and that's what you say? At first, I thought he was joking, so I responded lightly. But he was serious.
No, seriously. Haven't you gained like 22 pounds?
Of course I have. It's normal to gain up to 22 pounds for childbirth. It's written in the maternity record. You need to build up strength for childbirth, produce milk, and you'll need the energy for the baby's nighttime crying. It's perfectly normal.
No. This is just astonishing.
Harry didn't say thanks for coming all this way, or you must be tired, or let me see Megan like I had excitedly imagined on the way back home. Instead, he left me with those words, didn't even look at the baby, and retreated to his room, shoulders slumped. What? Just like Harry's bag that he dropped earlier, I was stunned by his attitude and words, and I dropped the diaper I was holding. Well, I thought Harry would be in a better mood after a night's sleep, so I slept in a separate room with Megan that night. However, Harry's behavior the previous night was just the beginning. The next day, the onslaught of fat-shaming comments began. I learned in the hospital's mothering class that nuts are good for producing milk, so I was eating them as a snack when Harry said,
What are you doing eating nuts? It just drives me nuts. Seeing a fat person eat is disgusting. Pigs eat nuts, right? You enjoy eating what pigs eat, oink oink.
Then Harry continued.
During your pregnancy, I was holding back, you know? I thought we could do it again once you got back. But this is just impossible. It'd be like a job. At least at work, I get paid. But this is unpaid overtime.
Typical accountant. He's now calculating our marital relations as if it's paid labor.
This is a cost-cutting measure. No intimacy to improve operational efficiency, because you're no longer attractive. That's the new policy.
That's all he said. Whenever he opened his mouth, it was only to insult me. I didn't hear any other words from him anymore. Naturally, he didn't help with housework or childcare. But I had Megan. I decided to think of Harry's words as nothing more than a noisy pet in the house. Or so I thought. Then, the event that broke my patience happened. It was the night Harry came home drunk from a year-end party. He sat in a chair in the living room, slumped over the table, and looked at me with just his face. I was sitting next to the chair, nursing Megan.
Hiccup.
With a booze-smelling belch, Harry started mumbling incoherently.
You know, when you think about it, kids aren't that cute. They're bald and reddish black, and they only babble weird words.
What?
Isn't that whole, the baby is cute thing just something people say because they have to? I'm honest, And as an accountant, I see things as they are.
What?
And you know, seeing you nurse an ugly baby just makes me think. You gained weight to have an ugly baby. And now it's sucking on you, making your boobs sag. This is just too much.
What?
I mean, looking at those saggy boobs, your upper belly and lower belly. You're like a roly-poly bug.
A roly-poly bug?
You only look like a roly-poly bug to me now. Seriously, I can't handle this. Doing it with a roly-poly bug would be like some kind of interspecies wrestling match.
With that, he suddenly grabbed my hand and pushed me and the baby into the back room. Hey, what are you doing? Before I could resist and shout, he shoved me in, closed the door, and said,
Seriously, just stay in your nest, roly-poly bug.
Then I heard him singing the Roly-Poly Trio song as he opened the bathroom door. Unforgivable. It's one thing to insult me, but to say our child isn't cute? Even if he was drunk, this went beyond the realm of being forgiven because he was drunk. I felt murderous rage, but still, I nursed my baby and slept in that dark room. The next morning, when I opened the door, my anger reached its peak. It wasn't the clothes strewn across the floor like a snake shedding its skin after his shower or the cup left out that made my anger boil over. It was when I saw cardboard plates taped to the door of the room where I had been locked and forced to lie down. It said, Roly-Poly Bug's room. The writing was wobbly, likely due to his drunkenness, but it was unmistakably Harry's handwriting and marker. Unforgivable. I stood up. The first step was self-reform. I put the sign Roly-Poly Bug's room on the door of my new bedroom to remind myself whenever I felt discouraged. On the opposite wall, I put up a poster of Janet Jackson. I've always been a fan, and her style and fitness were perfect motivation for me. Thus began my long-term revenge project in the Roly-Poly Bug's room. There were things I could do at home. I moved around on tiptoes. I sat in an invisible chair. I squatted while doing laundry and brushing my teeth. I did crunches after nursing each time. The midwife had said that postpartum fat is softer and easier to lose, and she was right. The weight came off quickly. When my baby got a bit grown, I'd put her on my belly while doing sit-upus, and she'd giggle as her face came close. She loved being lifted onto my thighs like a seesaw. I focused on childcare and worked hard on my fitness and diet. I quickly regained my pre-pregnancy figure, and since I sweated a lot from exercising, I wore my postpartum tracksuit with just the waistband replaced. There was no need to dress up in front of Harry, who called me a roly-poly bug, and I went makeup-free every day. Harry, who had started calling me, hey, roly-poly bug, didn't notice the changes because my clothes hadn't changed. He wasn't looking at me at all anyway. The second phase was husband's deterioration. You've probably heard the strategy of improving yourself while bringing down your rival to widen the gap. I decided to fatten up my husband. Harry's company didn't have a cafeteria, so I sent him to work with high-calorie lunches full of fried meats. At night, I fed him pizza and fried chicken when he came home around 9 p.m. saying, "These are your favorites." Of course, I had dinner with the baby by 6 p.m. I made sure my own meals were 70% vegetables and 30% meat. Eating in small bites helped. I could lower my calorie intake and reduce carbohydrates by using tortillas instead of bread. If I felt hungry, I would endure it for 10 minutes, and the feeling would pass. If I couldn't resist, I'd look at myself and then at a picture of Janet Jackson, which would turn my hunger into guilt and suppress my appetite. Naturally, I knew this alone wouldn't be enough, so I started an Instagram account. Every day, I took a picture of my belly before my bath. and posted it with the exercises I did under Kathy at Home Diet. 4 years passed. My daughter started kindergarten. By then, she could talk, which made her cuter, and Harry began to dot on her. However, after all he'd done and said when our daughter was born, I couldn't forgive him. Moreover, the nickname Roly-Poly Bug stuck, which kept my anger burning. When my daughter started kindergarten, I began working part-time at a local fitness club during the hours she was there. I mainly worked the reception and did some cleaning. But being around customers who were highly conscious of fitness and beauty boosted my own sense of beauty. Everyone would say, "Kathy, you're so pretty and have a great figure." This gave me confidence that I was indeed in the beautiful category by popular standards. Well, the time was right. I decided to unleash everything I had built up over the past 4 years on Harry. Tuesday, 1 p.m. at Harry's family's cafe. Harry's parents ran a cafe that served traditional sweets in a tourist area famous for its historic sites. Because it was featured in a guidebook, the shop was busy, and they had asked me to bring our daughter once things settled down. We decided to meet at the shop. Since Tuesday afternoons were less busy, they planned to let a part-timer handle the customers so they could have some time to meet. Harry said he would work in the morning, then take the afternoon off to join us. After sending Harry off to work, I meticulously did my makeup and straightened my hair with an iron. Usually, I tied my hair in a messy ponytail in front of Harry, but now I let it down and styled it into glossy waves. I filled in my eyebrows, which I hadn't done before, and instead of my usual tracksuit, I wore a cherry blossom pink suit. Size 2. I wasn't going to let him call me a roly-poly bug anymore. I deliberately arrived 10 minutes late. Harry had already texted me saying he was inside.
You're late. Is the roly-poly bug slow?
I saw an additional text from Harry at the entrance. Click. I put my phone back in my bag. All right. Watch closely. With my chest out and taking a deep breath, I opened the door with Megan. It was my mother-in-law, Diana, who noticed the door opening and spoke up.
Welcome. Oh my, Kathy. I've been wanting to see you and Megan.
Hello, Diana. I greeted.
Hello. Let's talk in the back. Harry is already here. And Megan is just so adorable.
My mother-in-law was more excited to see her grandchild than to attend to customers, so she handed the tray to a part-timer with glee. As we walked to the back and I saw Harry's back, he turned around, noticing our footsteps, and said,
You're so late. How long are you going to make me wait, roly-poly?
Then, I had never seen someone's eyes widen so much, their nostrils flare, and their mouth drop open in such shock. It was like he was going for the Guinness record for the most open facial orifices. I felt like every pore on his face was wide open as he looked at me. Of course, he said nothing after that. Hello, Harry, I said coldly, on purpose.
Oh, Megan is just so cute. She's a beauty like you, Kathy.
My mother-in-law placed 5 servings of the shop's famous apple pie on a tray and joined us in the room. Can't find your words? Since the silence continued, I decided to speak first.
Oh, well.
Harry mumbled, and then my father-in-law, Thomas, came in.
We've been waiting for you. I couldn't wait to meet Megan.
They crowded around Megan, their faces lighting up with smiles as they cooed over her. In contrast, Harry, with a tense face, said,
Well, she's our child after all.
The showdown began. I immediately retorted, Yes, you're and the roly-poly bug's child. Harry froze, and his parents stopped doting on Megan.
What did you just say?
My mother-in-law asked. I said roly-poly bug. Harry has been calling me that since I gave birth, saying he can't see me as a woman anymore.
Wait a minute. If you were losing weight,
You didn't notice me losing weight. You said you couldn't see me as a woman and shoved me into the back room, didn't you? And you didn't notice the changes either, did you? For these 4 years, you've called me a roly-poly bug without even looking at me, calling me ugly, right? I pulled out the cardboard sign that read Roly-Poly Bug's Room from my bag and placed it on the table. Harry's parents were stunned. Thomas, Diana. I continued. Even this sign alone should show you the emotional abuse. But I've endured this for a long time. And this isn't the only evidence. I took out my phone. Screenshots of Harry calling me roly-poly bug on text message, including the messages he sent just before I arrived. The sheer volume left his parents speechless.
Harry, what on earth?
Harry's father managed to say, while Harry shouted in anger.
are you kidding me? You're really pulling out evidence.
Then I heard giggling from behind.
No way, is that for real?
2 high school girls at the next table were looking at us and laughing.
Guys like him are always the ones yelling at pretty women. So funny.
Oh my god, he's fat, ugly, and yells. That's like the worst combo ever.
Their laughter and comments were clearly audible at our table. For someone who calls others a roly-poly bug, what about you now? Fat and greasy. I paused for a moment and then spat out. You're like a stink bug. After saying that, I turned to Harry's parents and showed them a photo taken at the hospital right after Megan was born. Look at this. Right after Megan was born, and me. My mother-in-law teared up looking at the photo.
Megan was so tiny, so cute. I'm so grateful she was born into our family.
But after I came back from giving birth, Harry said he couldn't see me as a woman, and eventually called me a roly-poly bug because my breasts sagged after having a baby. He even said Megan, just born, was ugly and red. Harry's parents were at a loss for words. This is enough, right? I pulled out a green paper from my bag. I've shown you evidence of the emotional abuse. I'd like to end this relationship here.
Wait a minute. You're supposed to depend on me, the roly-poly bug. How are you going to live with Megan?
Harry grabbed at me, but I was prepared for this question. I picked up my phone from the table and switched screens. Instagram. Kathy at home diet. I had over 10,000 followers. When I showed this to the manager at the fitness club, he offered me a full-time job. Comments on my posts praised me with things like, amazing that you can lose this much weight at home. You're an inspiration to housewives. Kathy, you're beautiful. I admire you.
That's enough.
Suddenly, Harry's mother raised her voice.
Harry, you have no idea how hard it is for a mother during childbirth. It's incredibly tough. Gaining weight is part of building the strength to endure childbirth. Most mothers can't even sleep to protect their baby. And yet, without knowing any of that, you kept calling her a roly-poly bug without understanding anything. I don't know how to apologize to Kathy. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Then she turned to me.
Kathy, I apologize on behalf of my foolish son. Please tell us if there's anything we can do. And please let us continue to see lovely Megan.
That's right. We run this cafe, so Megan won't have any trouble. We'd appreciate it if we could celebrate her birthday and such without Harry.
Harry's father also apologized to me. Thus, I started working as a single mother at the fitness club.
Mom, my friends say you're pretty.
Megan always tells me, and I always reply. Becoming pretty requires effort. It's important to believe in yourself and work hard. I hope you become someone who can work hard too, Megan. As for the stink bug, Harry, according to his mother, he tried to lose weight to get back with me. But he couldn't even stick to a diet, so he remains a stink bug. Now that I'm working full-time at the fitness club, my Instagram followers have surpassed 20,000. I've even been approached by publishers. Even housewives can do it if they try. You have to seize your own happiness. I hope to continue inspiring housewives to strive for their best.